Well, you have finally got here. You are listening to the Erskin Music Podcast. Here, by popular demand, we discuss life, culture, Christ, and of course, music. These half-hour broadcasts are perfect for a commute, coffee time, chat, or any other gap in your schedule where you want to put great content. So without further ado, let's join the conversation today, already in progress.
Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. If you can't find me on YouTube, then just keep watching me on Facebook. That's my only advice to you. If you can't find me on Facebook, then keep watching me on YouTube. Stay where you're at, people. I don't want people shifting around while we do this interview. You have come to the Erskin Music Show today for this interview and for such a time as this. And so without further ado, let's get our media all together. Fireworks. This man is coming on the show. Oh, top story, I should say. Tom Golly. Tom, get up on this screen, boy.
What's up, Erskin? How are you?
I'm doing well. It's so good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, apologies for not being in my fancy studio today. I'm on the other side of the wall of it, and me being a guy in a position to have to kind of put business first. As a client on a live stream, I'm on a live stream. So, got a little...
Okay. Well, I was going to reconcile a situation between the two of us immediately as we started.
Oh, yeah,
just simply say,
studio. I got you.
I wanted to highlight your studio as well as an option for people to have professional videos that is done.
It's the best option in Nashville.
The best option in Nashville. So if you could just give us a word, but I was hoping you'd have the background in. I was hoping you'd have all these different things that are flying in today, and that you would be able to promote yourself, but to just promote yourself and what you're doing with your studio.
Well, hey, you know what? You can go to Instagram, go to TTM Creative on Instagram. You can go to my website, ttmcreativestudio.com. Also to the mooncreativestudio.com, because we SEO like that, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But yeah, it's just, it is what it is, man. And I'm half kidding, half serious. I'm not that arrogant, I'm the best in the world. I feel like I'm CM Punk from WWE. Like, I'm the best in the world, but I lose all the time.
There is a part of that, though, that I think I heard somebody talking about some comment that Lauren Daigle made the other day, and they were saying, Christian music superstar. And I was like, whoa. Did we just say that there was a Christian who does music that's a superstar? There ain't no Christian music. There's no such thing as a Christian music superstar. There's just faithful followers of Jesus. Nonetheless, I think I know what they were getting at, but it was ridiculous to me. So I always say that I'm the best because I truly am the best at what I'm doing at that time for those people in whom God has ordained. And you are the best at what it is that you're doing for the people in whom God will bring in your circle, or he would have sent them somewhere else.
Yeah. Like with you, you're the best Erskin that you can be. You're the best Erskin music show host you can be. The best
Exactly.
singer, songwriter, person, husband, father. Like, I wish we focused more on being the best we could be, and looking at others that are maybe doing it better for inspiration rather than seeing it as competition, or even looking at it as like, I could never be that good. It's like, well, no, you could never be that person. You can never be that person's best, but you can be your best. And the interesting thing is, you'd be surprised how many things that you find out you are way better at than some people that you admire for what they do. And I experience that all the time. Even recently, dealing with, I've been working with some actors who have been on TV shows you've heard of, been in movies you've heard of. And the cool thing is, like, while these guys are phenomenal actors at what they do, they are amazing at that. A lot of these guys, they don't know how to do even 10% of the things that I can do, and vice versa. And that's the beauty of community. You know what I mean? It's like when you can look at what other people are that you aren't, and how that's what relationships should be. It's, kind of like people that have what you lack, and vice versa. And it's this transactional but coded in love kind of thing. Like, I don't know, there's just so much to be learned from that. And I just wish people more focused on their own gifts and what they could add to the world instead of fighting for what the world can give them.
Man, that's well said. Well said. So I pay attention to you. You pay attention to me. We don't get a chance to talk as often or hang out as often as I would like, or as either of us would like. Um, However, there are times when your voice and your perspective sort of rises to the occasion. And I'll take note of that. And with the Charlie Kirk thing, everybody's talking about it. Everybody has a perspective. Everybody has a vantage point. Everybody's been touched in some way. I call it the Charlie Kirkification of the world. And this is a talking point that is pretty substantial. I was just wondering, as we sort of range into a discussion about that, before the tragic shooting of Charlie Kirk, how familiar were you to Charlie Kirk and the things that he was saying, the things that he was doing, and how ensconced were you in his life and ministry?
So I would often watch a lot of the debates. I watched a lot of like the Jubilee stuff because I always thought the Jubilee thing was interesting. When they would have a person of note come and, just sort of open the floor for, opinions that differed, whether it was Jordan Peterson or whether it was Charlie Kirk. And I don't know. I always felt like before really diving in deep, and I'll be completely honest, I didn't dive in as deep into Charlie Kirk before his assassination as much as I did after, to really understand like the what, the why. But for the most part, I was always sort of enamored at the patience the guy would have. I mean, people would jump on the mic and literally start insulting him, or like just bringing something that was they saw said on some clickbait thing and just attack him, and the way he would handle that, like sure, sometimes he was a little snarky, but it was like a respectful snark. And I always just thought the way he approached opposition with questions, and then not just the way he was so firm in not chasing the straw man, that they call that in arguments, where like where someone's like they throw a stick and they want you to chase that, and it's like no, we're here, stay here. I learned a lot from that stuff. And I would say that, like, in disagreeing arguments, or even I even used it in sales sometimes, where someone wouldn't want to give a direct answer, so they would kind of throw you a bone and you wouldn't chase it. And it really taught me a bit about effective communication. And I know that there are some people who may hear me say that, be like, but this, but that. And it's like, look, I didn't say the guy had a perfect batting average all the time, but I think that Charlie Kirk was a guy with conviction. He believed what he believed. He used logic and reason more often than he did the Bible to prove it. And I mean, I think that he really was a good example of how to have a conversation with someone for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think he was a really good example as a man of faith and man of conviction. He never wavered. His faith arguments didn't contradict each other. He wasn't like using scripture to back up one thing, but then like twisting the scripture to back up another. He was pretty straightforward, I felt like. And I mean, I love the way he tried to do evangelism, and I wish more people saw some of the clips and saw some of the videos that do exist of people who who I would say hey, I disagreed with him, but literally came to him with real questions about, hey, so I'm struggling with this, what would you think? What would be your advice? Like, and the loving advice that he would give people who lived the lifestyle that I don't want to use the word against, but that he had a heart for, wanting to see people change, it was so kind. And I don't know, it's really sad to see this happen. And again, unfortunately, I think just the way that this whole situation is sort of like I guess the best way to put it, I don't want to call it a wake-up call. It's not where I was going with it. What I was saying is, like, in the same vein of like, there are people out there like that maybe we've known or we see on Facebook that like, you've seen it where people they disagree, so they block them. Boom, gone, blocked,
Yeah.
deleted. And it's like, okay, this is like a real world, serious, like hyperbolic version of that, where it's like, I've had enough, delete, you know? And it's like, we've seen sort of that miniature version, the PG version of that in social media, of just blocking, the canceling of people, all this stuff. It
Yeah.
it was, I think just it's tough to see where our world is. And I think I think what Charlie Kirk was trying to do was bridge the two worlds to engage in healthy conversation. And there are too many people who they just have to have their identity be in something, so much so they don't want to be proven wrong. They don't want to
Yeah.
be, they don't want their opinions changed. They feel attacked because they've put this personal sense of identity and belonging in the wrong thing. This is controversial. If your identity is too much in church, something's wrong. If your identity is too much in, if your identity is too much in your job, it's too much. If your identity is in politics, if your identity is is just in things that just totally consume you, and I feel like, man, we're doing it wrong, and I've been guilty
Yeah.
of it.
But to think through this idea, in some ways, I would consider myself, I would consider Charlie Kirk to be a man of great understanding, not just about economics or politics or theological aspects, but he was a man of great understanding when it came to understanding his calling in life, his skill set, his
Yep.
propensity, and his ability to bridge the gap that you were talking about there, because he understood that, look, Erskine would love to be on college campuses and have thousands of college students around answering questions and going tit for tat. I would love to do that. In my mind, I'm a closet Charlie Kirk, and my wife says you have the same tenacity, but you don't have the same kindness. And so I had to take that as a real life reminder from my wife that there are certain people who are geared a certain way, who can do a certain thing, who have a certain result as a result of what it is that he was doing. He was going to places and thousands of people were following or coming alongside, or organizations that were being built up. And he recognized the responsibility, even at a young age. As much as I troll, the millennials, the Gen Z, the Gen, all the
Yeah.
different groups that are out there, as much as I troll them for being lazy in their mother's basement, not accomplished virtual reality nerds, he was
Yeah.
not one of those people. He understood his mission well and jumped headlong into that, and whatever the repercussions might be. So he had courage, he had commitment, he had work ethic, and that's things that I don't often associate with younger generations.
Well, that certainly gives a sense of why people enjoy this show. Very engaging, very heartfelt. We will return to the conversation in a few moments, but first, let's thank our sponsors, Life Action Ministries, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and you for all your awesome support. And Holt International, thanks so much to our partners who make such a difference.
Thanks, Jason. Hi, I'm Dawn.
And I'm Steve of Don and Steve Plus. We're a podcast, and if you've not checked it out, I hope you'll do that. You can visit our website. It is donandsteveplus.com, or you can find us wherever you get your podcasts.
We do hope that you'll be able to join us, even as you continue to follow Erskin Music. Erskin does such a great job of bringing out topics. They're not all easy.
Right. I love that he'll tackle just about any topic.
He will tackle any topic and invite you to the conversation, which is always a plus, because learning the art of conversation, well, it's much needed.
It certainly is. And he does a great job with those conversations. So, Erskine, thanks for doing that. Thanks for tackling those tough topics. And thanks for listening to the Erskine Music Show.
All right, let's get back to the show. This is where it gets good.
Well, I think a lot of people, okay, that was the wrong way to start my point, because it's not a lot of people, but I think there was a fear by certain people that he had too much influence. and you know that, and I think that bothered some people very much. And I don't know, I mean, I won't go as far as conspiracy theory type stuff, but I think there were people that were very much bothered by the fact that there was this man who could show up at a college campus, rouse a crowd, and they backed him, and they backed him 100%.
Well, he was probably about what 2 to 3 cycles away from having a legitimate run for being president of the United States.
I mean, it's you know, the more interviews I saw of him, the more I would agree with that. I mean, I definitely think that guy definitely could have, you know, I mean, and that, you know, I think that's, I mean, you know, you don't know what his foreign policy would have been. You don't know. There's a lot of things you don't know that, you know, could get you there, and you also don't know who could have, who also could be a viable candidate. But at the end of the day, like I said, I think that
He would have
backs up
given
the
me a
fact-
run.
Yeah, vote for Erskin. Is that it?
We'll see.
I definitely think that there was definitely talk of it. I could see it totally. I mean, but again, and that's just it. It's like you had this man who can go to college campuses, and you know he can bring rallies bigger than a lot of presidential candidates could have. And I mean,
Absolutely.
the ingredients were there, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to go into whether or not that had anything to do with what happened. We don't know. I think nobody knows what happened, or the why this kid did it. He hasn't said, and it's I don't know. All I could say is that I think a bright light went out in the world, not just in Christianity, not just in politics, but in the world. A great
Yes.
example of a person that was driven, motivated to be the best at all the things he could be. Very highly educated person, even though that he's been attacked about how he never went to college. Like, I'm sorry, but like the guy, and I believe him, reads 100 books a year. I mean, he's probably more well read than any college professor. That's kind of all it takes to become educated, is you learn by doing and learn from the teachings of greats. And basically, based on his book list, there is some great minds that he has, you know, tapped into, you know, 100 times a year. So, I mean, I think, I don't know. I think the world lost a great man. You know, and again, they didn't lose a perfect person. I didn't know Charlie Kirk personally or anything like that. I know a few people who know him personally and will all speak highly of him. And it's really sad. It's really sad when you see such stuff like this happen.
Yeah.
You know, and then the sad thing now is like, what's, you know, you see so many people trying to pick from the meat on the bones of something they didn't build, by chasing clout, you know, getting on Facebook to give their hot take, or people making up these insane conspiracy theories, and people hey, we're making a shirt in his honor. Like, people are trying to profit, they're trying to gain likes and follows. And then of course you got the types who are like, I lost 30,000 followers. Like, okay, influencer, nice job at trying to rouse more support.
I feel like shots were fired at Forrest Frank.
Absolutely. Listen, I love Forrest Frank. I think he's a great guy.
Here we go. Let's mix it up.
Let's be honest. He's an influencer through and through. He's a capitalist. He's a social media capitalist. And the truth is that, you know, whether he lost 30,000 followers or 30 followers, you know, I mean, it's easy to make a graphic that says, look at how many followers I lost. When you have 5 million followers, you probably have a good amount of inactive followers. It's very easy to go in and dump them, and then it makes it look like you lost them.
There's a conspiracy theory, folks. I told you, Tom, it's coming today.
No. It's not conspiracy theory. What it is, it's just it's social media marketing. It's just true marketing. But it bugs me when I do see people.
Well, hang on a second.
I think should at least recognize, like, it's literally a lot of what you see on social media, including these supposed beats that we've seen and things like that within Christian music. Literally, it's like going to a magic show and seeing a card trick and have them go, it's really magic. No, it's not. See it. Please see it for what it is.
Wait, hang on a second. Because you are now saying that Forrest Frank's sleight of hand, his prestidigitation, his social media prestidigitation, has not really resulted in him losing 30,000 followers, but it was just the way that they reported that and the metrics that never happened. And that
It's him understanding his demographic. His demographic is, for the most part, just evangelical people. A vast majority of evangelicals are going to side with the, if you put on a one of those red hats, they're gonna like align with you, and I think that he has enough of a following where it's like that's where the money is, that's where the fans are.
oh, the
Those are the
comment
people
section
who are
is
going to come
open,
to our
folks.
show.
Don't try to
And
act like you can't get in this discussion.
I
You
think,
can.
I think it's just marketing tactics. And at the end of the day, I mean, look, let's be real. What is Forrest Frank? He's an influencer, an entertainer, and a Christian musician. Of course, he used it. He's used his back injury, which, I mean, again, he's used his
Oh,
back
so he never
injury.
had a back injury?
No, I'm not saying he didn't have a back injury. Of course, he used his back injury. He capitalized on the attention that he got from that and the killer song that he wrote. I mean, it was baller. But he's smart. He's brilliant as a marketer. But like at the end, and then the Corey Asbury situation, like I believe half of what, none of what I hear, but only half of what I see. And what I see is two guys who had a brief conversation, was like, yo, we could use this. What if I made a video and I said this, and then you made a response video, and then we did a song? It's
Oh, so you said,
marketing.
so you're thinking they were in cahoots with one another.
Well, yeah, but again, it's not with a sinister mindset. It's just it's literally all social media, the music industry, the marketing behind all of it.
So you're saying none of that is real?
It's like WWE. There's a level of what they call kayfabe to it, for real.
That's why you're on this show, my friend. That's why you're on this show,
Look,
because you don't go with the flow, and I love it when I'll get a text message from you. It's like, I completely disagree with what you said on your show, and da 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 da. And we'll go at it. We'll go back and forth, and then we hug each other, and then everything is all good. But
because Erskin, you're my friend because you keep it real. I keep it real. Our friendship's not based on agreement. Our friendship is based on, I feel like we've had some deep conversations. We've connected in some ways, some emotional ways. We've connected on music and an overall mission to bring goodness to people in the world. And what that goodness is can be a little different or delivered a different way. It's like, I make pizza and, maybe you make something else. And it's like, cool, we're both food vendors, and we respect it. But like me,
yeah.
I don't know. And maybe I do sound like the salty artist or whatever. I mean, I did the same thing.
That's exactly why you're on this show, because I want to build an army of people around me in my life. I want people in my life who disagree. I had about a 4-hour conversation with one of my band members about an issue in theology that we're on two opposite ends of the spectrum. But it was a 4-hour conversation because what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? What about that? We don't just close the conversation off. And so for folks who may watch the Erskin Music Show and think, man, he is sharp on whatever particular side it is, I'll invite them on the show and tell them what I said to their face if they would come on the show. And maybe they would tell me some things that I didn't know. It has to be the height of arrogance. And I was gonna ask you this question. We're in 2025. Does everybody have to start by saying, well, I didn't always agree with the things that Charlie Kirk said? Do we have to start with that? Because shouldn't that just be obvious? I don't even agree with all the stuff that I've said on the Erskin Music Show. And it's not because I'm trying to be duplicitous, but if you are a person who cannot have your mind changed by more information, by further study, by reading, by humility, you are not a person that I necessarily want to hang out with. If you've got everything worked out, there's no possibility of change whatsoever in the things that you think or the things that you do. Why are you even here? Why are you even here? People are just an object for you to manipulate and move out of the way. You're not actually trying to have a relationship with people. And so I've changed and moderated on some things because I've had conversations with people.
Well, that's the thing. What you just said there was, people putting that disclaimer. I didn't necessarily always agree. And like, the truth is, I think the reason that people do that is because, we just live in a world now where if you agree with one thing, you're automatically aligned with that group. Like, I feel like like I never understand what people mean by like I had a longtime friend I used to play hockey with yesterday put on Facebook, like, if you're MAGA, unfriend me and unfriend me and lose my phone number now. So I commented asking, how do you define MAGA? Like what makes someone MAGA, however you want to pronounce it, but like what makes somebody that? And then some troll had commented like, you could tell by the smell, and I was like, well, then I was like, how does a MAGA smell and how does a lib smell? Explain this to me. All I did was literally pull a page out of the Charlie Kirk book and ask questions. Go, okay, well, what do you mean? And then
Mhm.
this guy went on this rant about how like how MAGAs they spew some type like an incel mindset, and I said, well, how do they spew an incel mindset? I was blocked, deleted, like the first
Oh,
thing
you
this
asked too
morning.
many questions. Well, they had to use their
all,
brain, Tom.
all I did was ask questions because I genuinely want to
That causes
understand,
people to think.
and now, but here's the thing, it's like okay, like if you're not, so to me, if you're not, to some people, if you're not fully against the Republican Party, if you're not fully against the Bible, if you're not fully against all those things, then you're the enemy. Like you're still considered like the enemy to some people. And I don't know if I worded that correctly the way I meant it, but it's ultimately like
It's kind of
it just
small-minded thinking. I won't say it's
it's
kind of small-minded. It is small-minded thinking. If you're not everything, then you're nothing.
that's what I'm trying to say. Yes.
Yeah, it's a fallacy, but it's a fallacy that is foisted upon people to cause them not to think. If you're asking questions, that's causing them to have to recalibrate their answer, or reformulate their answer, or repurpose their answer, or consider the implications of, you may have done a reductio ad absurdum, and you may have caused them to have to think about something that is so absurd that it just annihilates their argument. And so we need to ask good questions. We need to be ready to answer good questions. In fact, as Christians, we should always be ready to give a reason for the hope that we have, and to do this with gentleness and respect. We should always be ready to engage our minds and to engage our hearts in conversations and have a reason why we're doing what we're doing or saying what we're saying.
Well, I think us as people, we have to be cognizant to this one human fact. Okay. And we've all done it.
Okay.
High school, hate boy bands. They're the worst. They're the, all the things you could say about boy bands, the In Sync, all that. And a girl you like finds out she loves In Sync. You'd be like, oh, hey, did you hear the new In Sync song?
They're not so bad.
Suddenly you're like, yo, I'm all in. Yo, don't you dare make fun of that. Like, we tend to align ourselves based
We're for it
on
until we're against it.
who we want to like us. And we got to be careful. We have to be very careful about when we do that. I've done it, and I'm divorced now. That probably tells you some things, but like, when you align yourselves with things to be liked or to feel a sense of belonging, it's something we do. It's like in our DNA to do that, and it's like, wow, we have to really be cognizant of, like, like, is this causing some, and then eventually I feel like it cause some resentment in me, that I'm like, oh, I'm becoming something I'm not for you, for this thing, and it's not serving me well. So who knows how that can manifest itself. And I think we see that manifest itself in various ways in various people, depending on how much they've changed themselves as a result, or in some ways even suppressed themselves. And I could say this, like, I grew up in a big family, and I was the youngest of six. I'm the youngest of six. I have 3 brothers, 2 sisters, and just the type of upbringing where it was like, it was better to go along and get along, and like it was like having your own opinion was mocked. Your own opinion was mocked if it didn't align with someone else's. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I spent much of my life, I would say it served me well in learning how to assimilate and, be part of a group and have people like me. But it definitely manifested itself in where, like, there was a lot of compromise and a lot of me just following, the common thread because it was easier, and I felt more loved as a result, but yet being conflicted. And a good example of kind of shaking that off is like my dad was very against tattoos. Like, my gosh, if he saw people with tattoos, the rants he would go on about it. He would threaten all of us kids, you better never get tattoos, you'll be a hoodlum and you'll be this, and like, people who get tattoos are broke, and like I would literally just pretty much verbatim say this stuff my whole life, until sort of I hit this point after my divorce of realizing, like, man, I don't know who I am. Like, who am I? What do I believe? Because 90% of the things that I do and have engaged in my life to get me, like, to go along and feel love. And I realized, like, man, this is trauma response. What do I like? What do I want? What are my values, not the values of my mom and dad? Right. And I came to a place of, like, while when I first ever started going to church, it was because, that's what my now ex-wife was doing on Sunday, and I thought it'd be a great time to hang out with her. But I literally found Jesus through that. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in God. I serve God. I also realize I'm not against tattoos, and I have a few now.
There you go. And this sleeve proves it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple different ones now, but then they're all a celebration they're a celebration and a reminder of things that are very important to me. They're not just like, I'm not just getting like something that I think looks cool. While I do want them to look cool, they have a lot of value and meaning, and it's sort of just I'm honoring a lot of things about myself that I'm learning, a lot of things, things that I've come from, and things that always mattered to just, I call them reminders more than I call them tattoos,
Sure.
But again,
thank you for your transparency.
Point, just to very short, really summarize it, is that I think that's where we have to be the most careful. Is we really got, every person needs to ask themselves, am I aligning myself with something for the wrong reasons? Like, what do I really think versus what this reel or TikTok is trying to tell me to think? Am I choosing to say these things because she's a really beautiful girl and I want her to like me? Mm-hmm. Or those are really cool musicians and I want them to like me and write with me and hang with me, so maybe I should say and do these things too. We have to really be careful that we're not, like, just really, really focusing on the why and what, and it's okay to be different, and you may not be welcome in certain places. You may not, people may reject you because your beliefs don't align with them. And I will say, they're on a path to misery. They just don't know it yet. And I think the true path to happiness is really focusing on yourself, your beliefs, your belief in God, your relationship with God, and and try not to have that relationship with God mirror what someone else's is. Or what you see other people posting about scriptures. I've done this, where I saw, someone that I looked up to posted something about a scripture he learned, and I just went, yeah, true, yeah, totally, full agreement, let's go. Only to later on go,
you're like, I didn't agree with that.
I don't actually see it. I don't see it that way. But if it's like, I'm not saying this actually happened, but I'm just naming names, like, oh, Mac Powell said that, so it must be good because people like him, so I'll say it too. That is the problem we have. We have celebrities, we have pastors, we have musicians now, everyone with their hot takes, and people are just, I want to be like them. Like, we have there's so much idolatry.
Well, you probably already know that when you hear that sound, there's music on the way. After all, this is kind of a music show. Sit back and enjoy. All the music can be easily found on your favorite digital distribution channels. Turn up the volume and here we go.
This is the song Lion. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Who could imagine the sight of the lion? Awesome and glorious, splendor and wonder. Alpha and Omega, revealed are the promises. Behold the kingdom, coming is the lion. Yes and amen. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah,
so loved the world that he came to save us. He broke the power of the enemy. These sons and daughters have the victory. Please, they can't stop us when we on our knees. When he cracks that sky, the stats don't lie. The evil time rhyme, but the saints go high. Yo, this is the story of the lion. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah. Let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah. Let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah. Let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah. Let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah. Let the lion roar. Hail, hail, Lion of Judah. Let the lion roar. Prepare the way of the Lord. Prepare the way of the Lord. Prepare the way of the Lord. And that's where I think the lesson I've learned from Charlie Kirk is the just ask questions. Like, just ask questions, and then, if there seems to be an ability to, we'll say, well, in response to their answer, well, here's some actual facts. Like, if someone's telling me, like, silly thing, but like, hey, Tom, you don't look like you don't drink water. It's like, well, why don't you think I drink water? And they might say a couple reasons why. It's like, all right, well, cool. Like, before this interview, I drank this. And then during this interview, I drank this. I drink plenty of water. Like, it's like, it's okay to give answers that you can actually show physical proof to, but it's like, it could be done without insulting all. I mean, I've learned a lot along the way, but ultimately answer your question, and I already said it, is you have to be willing to accept what comes next. And that,
I love that answer. That's what it is.
Yeah, because listen, I have done that. I have gone along and pretended to. I mean, I spent years in sales, and one of the first things we learned in sales was mirror. It's like, hey, if you get on a phone call with a client and they're like, yeah, I'm watching the news and that Obama, like, yeah, man, he's the worst, isn't he? And like, now you're like arguing, you're like trying to make this guy feel like we're together on this. And the next person would be like, well, that George Bush, he's the greatest. He's like, yep, no, that George Bush is the worst. It's like, no, yeah, isn't he? He's the worst. Like, you're just aligning yourself to, hey, we're buddies now. Hey, I'm your friend. Buy from me. And I don't know, that just feels gross. I don't like that.
To your point on this subject matter, and I completely hear what it is that you're saying, and have seen that phenomenon myself. But to your point, I think, and obviously there's no way to empirically show this or ask the question at this point, but this is just my opinion. I think if you would have gone to Charlie Kirk when he's 27 years old, and we'll get Tom back here in just a second, but for the audience, I think if you would have gone to Charlie Kirk when he's 27 years old, you're back. But I was just making the point that if you would have gone to Charlie Kirk when you were 27 years old and you would have said, Charlie, you're getting these incredible crowds that are coming to your events. I know you've got security and everything, but the things that you're saying is going to push people to a certain point where you're not going to make it out of your 30s.
Right.
And you were to say to Charlie Kirk, are you willing to accept the repercussions of the conviction that you have, articulating them the way that you are and the places where you are? Are you willing to know that in your 20s you're not going to make it to your 40s because of the intensity and because of the culture and a lot of different factors that are out there? Would you still go down this road as your mission? I think he absolutely would have said yes.
Yeah, I think he would have beefed up security and tried his best to prevent it. But at the end of the day, absolutely. I mean, the guy that people are conspiracy theorying with the white hat and stuff, like
that's Frank Turk.
Frank, yeah, and that's a friend of his. And he explained, like, he knew that someone might take a shot at him, and it deterred him zero. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with the audio over there, Tom. I'm just saying, you got your media group.
No, I'm good. But no, like, I think that's the importance of, of understanding, like, are you willing to accept
what comes. And that's the thing, man. Like, there was a period of time when like people were walking in churches and shooting people, and I remember being at this festival in Atlanta, and it was weird because like it was just, you know, mostly secular music, but what they did was, it was a Sunday, so they said, hey, let's book a Christian artist. So they put us up there. We're up there in the middle of the night. We're, you know, doing a lot of Christian. I started out doing my original songs, and like that drew a few people, but then I kind of cued the band and said, hey guys, let's do a couple of like worship songs and see what happens. And you know, we drew a much bigger crowd because people knew the songs, because we're like across the field from this like carnival, you know. And then there's this guy, he's walking up the center aisle right up to the front of the stage, and he's like reaching in his back pocket or whatever he's doing. It literally made me and my guitar player, we keep looking at each other like, what's about to happen?
What's about to happen?
I got my hand on my mic stand, you know, with a big weight bass, and I'm literally ready to like.
You're about to block that. Whatever came your direction, you were gonna knock it away. Superman up there.
But you know, we knew that stuff was going on, and like that didn't change because we're like, hey, I believe in the message. I'm going to be more diligent, but I'm willing to take whatever might come at me because I really, really believe in the message of what I do as Tom Golly. And I really believe in these songs, so we're going to sing them. And, you know, thankfully the guy was just pulling up his pants and it was all good. The guy was worshiping hard. And, you know, there was no need for a knee-jerk reaction, but we were ready.
It'd be like that, the ATL.
Prepared. Yeah, and I think you just have to do what you just have to. I think
do what you got to do.
You have to, if you really, really believe in something, you have to accept what comes with that. And I think that's for both sides of the aisle. And I think one side of the aisle is a little more accepting of the hate that they get. They can kind of stomach it a little better. And I think an argument can be made that on the left side, it's weird because even if they get their way, they're still not happy, which I think is strange.
We have come to the end of this episode. Don't miss a final word from Erskin.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of the Erskin Music Podcast Experience. To all of our guests that come on the show, and for all of our sponsors, thank you guys so much for being a part of it. And for you who listen to the show, you and I, we make this thing happen by simply being kind to one another in the comment section, and then going as followers of Christ and living this thing out. If anybody needs more information, erskinmusic.com is where you start, and then all the nonsense starts, all the social media that's out there. But let's go live it out. See you guys very soon.